18, 19, 20. Hey guys, so yeah, we are now in the position of training full time in the garage, and it's different just because it's a different space, but it's not really different in that I'm, very fortunate that I have my own equipment, so my program hasn't really changed a lot, other than I'm not working with a wheelie a couple days a week to, to really push some of the transition stuff and some of the heavier weights. But for the most part, I can still do 95% of what I was doing before. So, yeah, so it's a little bit different. I don't know if it's because I'm just training at home in my garage gym or if it's everything else going on, but there's definitely some like isolation feelings, which is kind of weird. I don't know where it comes from, because like I said, our schedule altogether hasn't really been interrupted. I mean, my wife works from home, so we spend a lot of time together every day. My daughter's home. That's a little bit different, but I don't know. There's just a little bit of a ominous feel about it, and yeah, it's just emotions are definitely running high, and it's probably just everything you see social media wise and news, and it's stress levels are a little bit higher, but it feels good to at least feel like I'm accomplishing something and getting most of my training in. And it was funny because a little while ago I was struggling, official rules hadn't come down, and I was struggling with what risks should I be taking. Yes, I go to the gym and I train by myself, but should I still even be doing this or taking this risk or whatever? And so it was just something I had prayed about, and it was weird because I prayed about it, and then that night I had a dream. I had a dream that I had contracted the coronavirus, but I didn't feel bad, but I felt bad for everybody I had exposed. And that's kind of my dream in a nutshell. And so basically when I woke up, I just had this overwhelming feeling that God was telling me that the right thing to do was just hunker down and stay home. So that afternoon, I loaded up my equipment that was at Fireside and brought it home, and got myself set up that I was just going to say, hey, I'll just train here at home. At my time, I was still going to work with my wheelman a couple days a week, but literally that next day was when the governor that issued the shelter in place or whatever thing. And so it was just like, it was just cool to see that, God sent me a message, and I was fortunate enough to really hear it and just take it in and accept it. And I was just very thankful that I had gotten all my equipment at home, because it just made it a lot easier when, they're like, hey, shelter in place and you got to stay there and stuff. I'm like, sweet, well, I'm already set up. So anyhow, so training continues. Obviously the background's a little different, a little bit more colorful. But I like that. Like, it really makes it change from a garage to an actual gym feel. And for me, like the bright colors and the coordinate, all that kind of stuff. You notice I kind of dress that way. So I think it's part of my motocross background that I just like that. I like that flash around me. It makes me feel like I still have a toe in that world, I guess, even though I'm CrossFit, and CrossFit isn't necessarily about flash. I have a little bit of that in me still, I think, from racing, and so it just helps me feel like connected in that way, even though I'm competing in some different and in a different world that way. And obviously, you notice I have like the jerseys and the memorabilia and stuff from my days in motocross and the athletes that I trained and worked with and all that. And so it just keeps me in there, and so I like that. But yeah, training's gonna be the same, and we'll show you a little bit of what's been going down. Four, 25. So all in all, it hasn't been a bad week. Um, I'm stoked. I got a good training weekend, and I mean, life is okay, but it's just kind of weird. I mean, I'm very thankful that I think one of the things helping me get through all of this is not the training, so to speak. I mean, it's awesome that I get to keep my pretty close to normal routine, but the fact that I have separation, that when I come out to the garage, um, that it's just kind of a separate place, right? It's like I go to work, right, and then I go back in the house, and it's like I'm at home. So it gives me more of a separation feeling, which I think I'm very fortunate to have, because I definitely still. I mean, I haven't left the house in over a week and a half now, and that doesn't seem to bother me too much. But I think just all the animosity around everything in the situation still plays on you. Like, it's weird. One, it's like everything's so up in the air right now, that I have times where I'm like pushing myself in the gym, and I'm like, what am I training for? Like, I'm definitely one of those guys, and I've said this in the past, that I enjoy the grind. I almost enjoy the grind more than competing. I think that that's the part that I'm seriously passionate about, is just the day in, day out process. I'm definitely somebody that gets into that. But I like that with a goal in mind. So it still benefits having something to work for. It still benefits having something to grind for. Um, and that's the part that doesn't have any normalcy right now, because don't know if we'll have the games or not this year. Don't know like when all this is going to come, to fruition, to where it's like, okay, now we have these dates coming up. Now we have something that we're pushing for. I mean, so my focus lately has just been, how do I get better? You know, eh, I'd be a hypocrite if I like, the competition went away and I'm like, oh, like, well, there's nothing to really train for, because I've stated several times that, self improvement is one of the things that I am most passionate about with CrossFit, and what drives me the most. So I still, have to, even though things feel weird, I still have to focus on that, and have those goals in mind. And so with that, I'm absolutely 100% grateful and stoked that I can continue to be, train 90%, how I used to, and pretty much keep things the same as normal. Obviously, there are some changes, and there's some things that are challenged to do at the higher intensity without a wheelman and whatnot. But that's also kind of been cool, is that, both my wife and my daughter, have you seen in some of the footage, are helping me, pulling some of those man duties to a minimum. But it's kind of cool to get them more involved, and they kind of see more of my training, and have a little bit more understanding of what I do that way, just because we all do have our own thing going on and our own separate stuff. So it is kind of fun to involve them in a little bit that way. And my wife has been able to come in and do her training, because she normally does her training in the garage full time. So for her, it's kind of cool to be able to participate with her, like kind of work out together a little bit that way. It's like anybody else going to the gym. So that's kind of and just so you guys know, like, the garage, like, what is that? Like, did I just make a fancy logo for my garage? No, that is actually the name, or the DBA, for the business that I had when I was a personal trainer, working as a strength and conditioning coach with pro action sport athletes. And so I had named my business because I trained most of those clients one-on-one, and that's where I got most of this equipment, was when I trained full-time athletes one-on-one. And we didn't really want to be in a big box gym, with distractions and whatnot, more than we had to be. So we did a lot of training from my gym that I had set up in my garage. So So that's where I got the name. It was a DBA filed for that business when I was doing that full time, and so that's where the logo and everything came from. So if anybody was wondering for any reason, um, and now we do everything under the Attack Weakness brand, because that's kind of what I'm pursuing and working towards now, is focusing on attacking weaknesses. And there's definitely been a lot of self-reflection and a lot that comes out of this whole scenario with social distancing and quarantine and whatnot. So it's like I've said, you got to find the good in everything, right? And there's definitely been a lot to reflect on through this. So yeah, got through another week though, another couple weeks of training, and yeah, I'm curious to see how the progression goes with doing all the work from the home gym for a while. But if there's any specific content that you're looking for, questions, certain movements or anything that you'd love for me to break down, comment below, and I'm happy to answer those questions or demonstrate what I can to help. So I hope all you guys have a great week coming up, and yeah, we'll talk to you soon.